In this video we are going to talk about the most dangerous prison inmates in the world. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Violent persons can be found all over the world, those who chose to live a life of crime in defiance of the laws of their respective countries. Even the thought that some criminals, such as Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac Killer, may never be apprehended, let alone that those who are apprehended may continue to torment and torture others long after they have been apprehended, is terrifying. In this case, it is individuals who have committed heinous crimes against humanity and have continued to murder a significant number of people until the authorities were able to catch them. Prisons are well known for being terrible places, not only because of the severe conditions in which the convicts are forced to live, but also because of the inmates' own behavior behind the prison walls. Number 10. Dennis Rader. Serial killer Dennis Rader operated in the United States from 1974 to 1991, killing a total of 10 people. In the gaming community, Dennis prefers to be referred to as BTK or the BTK Strangler, which are abbreviations for Item Killer and Drum Killer, respectively. So that alone says a great deal about who he is. A terrifying video of him narrating his atrocities is available online, and he was found guilty of his crimes in 2005. He was sentenced to death in 2007. Solitary confinement is currently the only option available to him. This is where he will remain until the day he dies. Despite this, he continues to be recognized as one of the vilest serial murders in the history of the United States, according to some sources. Number 9. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was a well-known serial killer who was responsible for the deaths of at least 30 women during the course of his career. The fact that he was known for killing them in terrible ways makes it doubtful that the number of women he killed was much higher than it appears. His ability to avoid capture and escape from custody is one of the factors that contributed to his inclusion on this list. In the first instance, he managed to escape by leaping out of a second-story window and fleeing the scene. He was eventually arrested, but he managed to evade capture on more than one occasion. The weight loss had caused him to lose sufficient volume that he could fit through the roof opening of his cage at this time. That he went on to murder many more women once he was able to flee is even more terrifying. As a result of this perception, he was seen as a potentially violent prison inmate, and the police were compelled to maintain a close eye on him. Number 8. The Eyeball Man. Throughout his criminal career, Jason Barnum, popularly known as the Eyeball Guy, has been involved in a litany of offenses. Following the shooting of a police officer, he was sentenced to 22 years behind bars. He is referred to as the Eyeball Guy because one of his eyeballs has been completely black tattooed on him. Atop that, he has a skull tattooed on one side of his face, signaling that not only is this man a dangerous criminal, but he also seems to be one, and they are content with their decision. Number 7. Richard Lee McNair. Richard Lee McNair was sentenced to 2 life sentences in prison after being convicted of murder, attempted murder, and burglary. He was also sentenced to 2 life sentences in jail. Currently, he is on this list because he has managed to elude capture 3 times in the last 2 years, which has earned him a place on it. It all started in 1988 when he used to raise his hand as a way of indicating his hand to someone. Then, in 1982, he managed to get out of prison yet again, and in 2006, he was able to get out of prison for good by mailing himself out of the country. Consequently, he was condemned to life imprisonment in a maximum security prison. To this day, he is referred to as the master escapist because of his ability to transport himself into another world. Number 6. Roy Gardner. When the Roaring Twenties rolled around, Gardner was a well-known criminal in the United States. Aside from stealing almost $350,000 in cash, Roy was also able to successfully evade capture numerous times, earning him the reputation as the most dangerous inmate at Atlanta Correctional Facility. There was a lot of coverage of the bandit in newspapers and magazines all over the country, and he was referred to variously as the Bandit or the Male Train Bandits, or even the King of the Escape. Several times, he was shifted to Alpha Tracks, maybe once, twice, or 3 times. His reputation as one of the most notorious and brutal criminals on the island of Alcatraz grew as a result of his actions from that point forward. Number 5. Robert Stroud. He was dubbed the Birdman of Alcatraz because he was the most well-known convict on the island prison. He was imprisoned for severely killing a bartender, and during his time in jail, he had a reputation as a prisoner who was exceptionally violent. His aggressive, violent, and cruel behavior toward prison officers, fellow inmates, and other criminals resulted in his being sentenced to an additional 6 months in jail since he was known for being extremely aggressive, violent, and harsh toward them. Number 4. Barry Mills. Specifically, Mills was jailed at an early age and ascended through the ranks to become a brutal gang leader while imprisoned in an environment where the game was popular among inmates around the country, which led to his arrest and conviction. In reality, it resulted in a swarm of inter-prisoner disputes. This gang revered him, but they also feared him, as proven by the fact that he was detained in 1990 for transporting an inmate to the prison's lavatory, which was later acquitted of the charge in 2002. He was one of 40 people charged with the murder of 32 people, and his activities earned him the nickname the Spiteful Middle Horn as a result of his behavior. This individual appears to be highly menacing in his or her appearance. It was as though he was constantly projecting a mental image of a jail brawl into my head. Number 3. Charles Bronson. He was an English criminal who acquired the reputation of being either the most violent prisoner in the United Kingdom or the most notorious prisoner in the United Kingdom. He was born in the town of Bronson, in the county of Essex, England. After being released from prison, he was arrested for armed robbery and sentenced to 7 years in prison. After being released from prison, he went on to pursue a bare-knuckle boxing career with the Veterans Administration. Then there was the year 1980. He was found guilty of collaborating with others to commit another theft and sentenced to prison. After being released from prison, he returned to prison and turned into a considerably nastier inmate than he had been earlier. In fact, he was known to have kidnapped and held hostages from other inmates in a number of different instances. Number 2. Thomas Edward Silverstein. According to the search results, if you Google who are the most dangerous inmates, this individual, Thomas Edward Silverstein, will appear immediately away on the list. As a result, Silverstein was initially arrested and sentenced to prison for armed robbery. While incarcerated, he, on the other hand, committed a litany of other offenses. First, he was stabbed repeatedly in the chest by one of his officers, who died as a result. Following that, he went on to murder a number of other convicts. His transgressions while in prison have resulted in his being housed in a specially constructed cell in the federal penitentiary in Colorado, where he is widely recognized as the most violent prisoner in the United States as a result of the atrocities he committed while there. Number 1. Robert Maudsley. Robert is the most dangerous prisoner in the United Kingdom. His behavior is so hazardous that he is imprisoned in an underground black belt beneath Wakefield Jail to keep him from escaping. Given that he has spent 23 hours of every day in solitary confinement, is it any surprise that he has become so dangerous at this point? You have 9 hours to save his life before his brain explodes and he is killed. Furthermore, it is said that he may have eaten the brains of some of the convicts, prompting some to conclude that he was the real-life Hannibal Lecter. He then went on to murder 2 more convicts a few months later before being captured. For a casual talk with the jail officer, he learned that he would be 2 detainees short during the next roll call, and he informed the officer. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.